My 32 female, husband, 36 male, became a robot and I don't know how to help him. Despite the absurdity of the term, I will proceed. We've been married for 6 years and have 2 children, with a third on the way thanks to my pregnancy. My husband works from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., comes home, takes care of his responsibilities, plays with our 2 children, quickly speaks with me, and then retires to his room. However, he does not seem to be appreciative of any of it. It's as though the whole procedure is a major headache. He used to be this very amusing person who often smiled and made jokes, but I haven't seen him a smile in many months. It's not that he's neglecting his obligations as a husband and father. Rather, he acts as if they're a secondary consideration. Spending time with my children and myself is like having a second job. I'm grateful for all he does, and he makes our lives so much easier as a result, but it seems like he's constantly on the clock, and I feel he's depressed as a result. I inquired as to his well-being, and he responded that he was wonderful, but I knew he wasn't. That's the statement he uses at work when customers come up to him and question about his well-being. He doesn't take any time for himself at all. In addition, he no longer engages in video gaming or television viewing activities. He just goes ahead and accomplishes what he believes is necessary, and I'm at a loss as to how I may best aid him. Our lives have become one-sided as a result of this. It is something we do on a regular basis, but only because I initiate it. Even if he doesn't seem to be in the mood, he will do the task. It's as if he believes it is his responsibility to make me happy. He seems to be absent in the moment, as if his thoughts are elsewhere during our personal encounter, and that to me is much worse than being rejected by a woman. I'm not sure what's going on, and I'm not sure what I can do to help because he won't let me inside the room. Everyone else appears to think he's okay, but I'm certain there is something wrong, and I'm at a loss on what to do to correct it. I miss my husband, who was a complainer but could also a joke. Not this fabricated shell that bears a resemblance to him. Edit. Okay, that's impressive. Things didn't go as planned, and I wasn't expecting them to. I'd want to express my gratitude to everyone for their recommendations, which I much appreciate. As far as I can tell, my husband is very busy and burned out. As soon as he comes home from work, I'm going to sit him down and talk to him about everything. I'm going to tell him how I feel, and I'm hoping that we can work together to find a solution that will allow him to return to the person he used to be before this happened. Please accept my apologies for not being able to respond to everyone, but please know that I have read and responded to each and every comment and answer. Update. My husband got home around 6 p.m., and after eating dinner, I escorted him to the bedroom to address the situation. I sat him down on the bed and communicated my worry for his well-being with him. I wasn't sure how to voice my worries, so I just sent him a note outlining my first thoughts. Upon finishing the message, he broke down and sobbed in the corner of the room. The only time I had ever seen a tear fall from this man's eye was throughout the time I had known him. I held him for a few minutes to give him a chance to regain his composure, and he opened up to me about everything. It was he who advised me that the world was in a state at the time and that we were about to place a child in a very difficult circumstance. He said that when I became pregnant, he felt obligated to take the initiative. Because it was his responsibility, he needed to take care of the situation himself. Because the burden of supporting his family was far more than what he had expected, he reasoned that by doubling down, he would be able to make it through the difficult time ahead. His efforts were futile since the darker the tunnel got, until he couldn't see the finish any longer. According to him, he was constantly drowning, with the only breath of fresh air coming from the daily trip between his house and his workplace. He said that the stress may be so extreme that he vomits, yet he never tells anybody about it and instead goes about his day. In response, he pulled a package of gum from his pocket and said this was for when it happens. Upon asking why he couldn't tell me anything, his response was that he didn't want to burden me with the truth. I was perplexed. He said that if he told me everything, I would cease to see him as a protector and provider, and as a result, I would cease to love him as well. I burst into tears when I heard him say that since I had no clue where he got the notion that I would be feeling that way. I inquired as to whether he wanted to quit his job, but he said that it didn't worry him. He said that the work itself was gratifying in its own right. It's only now that he feels forced to give sense. Not only did he manage to keep his job during the pandemic, but we were also expecting a kid at the time of his contribution. He said that he had had the urge to pack his possessions and run to a tropical island for a week without alerting anybody of his plans. However, he becomes depressed and raises his stakes even more. I advised to him that he take a break from his work and relax. I told him that he needed to take a break, and that if he did, he'd feel better about himself. He made an effort to protest, but I continued nonetheless. Finally, he said that he would only join us if we were traveling in a group of some kind, like a hideaway for couples on a romantic vacation. He wants to take a week off from work once things start to calm down and before the baby is due, leave the kids at grandma's house, and take the rest of us on a vacation somewhere warm and sunny. We're just the two of us, just as we were when we were married for the first time. He also said that he plans to take the day off tomorrow and sleep in, which is what the plan is for the day after tomorrow. I'll call his boss tomorrow and inform him that he's sick and will be unable to go to work. After all, no one is going to compel a sick person to report to work. There is a pandemic currently underway. He's now engaged in child-centered activities and does not seem to be working on any of his tasks. He seemed like he was having a wonderful time. For the first time in months, I get to see my husband instead than the robot. Edit. Hello, and welcome to everyone. I'd want to express my gratitude to everyone for their assistance. I have read and appreciated each and every one of your comments, and I thank you for your participation. I wasn't expecting this to get as much attention as it has, so I'd want to clarify a few things. First and foremost, my wife extends her greetings to you. I want to make it clear what the responsibilities were that were being addressed. I'd want to point out that, as a stay-at-home mom, I am in charge of the bulk of domestic chores. I prepare meals, clean, and do laundry because I recognize that it is my responsibility. My husband's only obligations are to clean the dishes every night, vacuum every 3 days, and do a few other housekeeping chores as needed. It is true that I called my husband off of work for a migraine, but I took sure to explain that he was suffering from a migraine-related headache. After doing some research on Google, I realized that if it was an isolated symptom, it was not indicative of COVID. His supervisor was understanding of his situation and assured him that he might return whenever he felt better. It was not an accident that she became pregnant. We both wanted 3 children since we were both raised in 3-child families as youngsters. Although we actively attempted to have the first 2 children, with baby number 3, it was more of a case of, if it happens, it happens. We're both happy with the amount of children we have/will have, and we're hope to be through with this phase of our lives soon. We are not considering abortion or adoption at this time. In recognition of the fact that a 1-week vacation will not be sufficient to alleviate his stress levels, we are both trying to develop an approach that will reduce his stress in the long run. On a daily basis, we're thinking of designating an hour or 2 as Daddy's time. There were no children, no myself, and no means of earning a living. It was only for him to relax. Those of you who feel this is a hoax should know that there is no way I can change your mind on the matter. Therefore, I am not very worried. You have my sincere prayer that this never occurs to you. You've all been really helpful and are a delightful set of people to be around. I am certain that we will be able to get through this, and it would not have been possible without your assistance. I'm not going to react to any comments since, as I said before, there are just too many. But please be assured that I'm reading them as they are received. Everyone should retire for the night. It's been an absolutely great day.